Bro, I'm live. My life. My life. Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon listeners. It's me Sulaiman Ben Sware coming back on Facebook Live after a short break. Just bear me a minute, let me share this video on my page, then the program can start. Thank you. Good afternoon. Today is Monday, the 23rd of August 2021. The time is just gone 18 minutes past 5 in the afternoon in Birmingham, England. And the program today is about just to deal with some of the burning issues and to have a conversation with the opposition on lesson learned from the recent elections held in Zambia, and we will look at the similarities of Gambia and Zambia and the elections in Zambia to learn lessons from that. But before we go further, I just want to touch on two main topics that I want to discuss this morning. That came up this morning, and one of those topics is about the Gambia government selling an aircraft that was confiscated from Yaya Jammeh. And the reason we raising this thing is about transparency, because we got this information from the Africa Intelligentsia. It's not from the Gambia government and it's not from the press in the Gambia. That's why we want to highlight this. Hopefully our MPs will take this up. Hopefully political parties on the ground will take this up. Hopefully the press will take this up. We know that the Gambia government was meant to dispose these assets, and now we want to find out how much it was disposed of, because from the information received from the press, from the Africa intelligence reports, did not tell us exactly how much the aircraft was sold for, and where the proceeds would be going to. We all know that the Jammeh victims are expecting to be taken care of. They're expecting the reparation that's been promised, and still now Gambia government have not given what they promised. I have to remind Gambians that the $50 million is given to this TRRC. It's from the government of Senegal. It's not from the Gambia government. The Gambia government have not given yet penny. And if anybody dispute this, let them test it. Let them test it. We have all the informations and evidence that Gambia government have not given nothing, absolutely. The 50 million is the 50 million given by the Senegalese ambassador onward from this government as their contribution to the TRRC. And that money came from the timber sold, confiscated and sold from customers and they decided to take their share of the 50 million Gambia government gave them, to give it back to Gambia government to onward delivery to the TRRC. But instead, the Gambia government hold onto that money and presented 50 million to the TRRC as their contribution. Now, where is the 50 million from the Senegalese government? This should be made clear to Gambians, and I hope, again, express the Gambia press and the Gambia opposition will raise this valid points, and the victim support unit would raise this point to the president. We got this report this morning. A friend of mine sent it to me, and I've got the original link from the Africa Intelligentsia, saying that the Adama Barrow government sold Yahya Jammeh presidential aircraft to a Belarusian firm, and the price is undisclosed. I said, if can Parliament or the press help find out the details of the sale? And as the press release said, the administration of Adama Barrow, which seized 3 aircraft and a luxury cars owned by the former head of state of the Yahya Jammeh, has found a buyer for his Luxin IL-62M aircraft. The long-range Luxin IL-62M aircraft used under the presidency of President Jammeh has been sold to Rada Airline, a private sector Belarusian air freight carrier. The aircraft left Banjul and landed in Valtak, 223 kilometers northeast of Minsk on the 8th August after the stopover in Tunisia. The aircraft, which has been in service for 28 years, has changed registration from C5 RTG to EW54TR. It is due to be converted for use as a cargo aircraft before being brought into service in Rada Airlines fleet alongside 2 other aircraft of the same type. And yes, and the rest, that's the most important part of the communique. But as we said, there are a lot of things happening and we are not having answers. But we are not even having the relevant authorities ask the questions, apart from the citizens on social media. And obviously, this is the reason why Barrow is not comfortable with social media. And when we talk about, when we come to election campaign, we'll see the effectiveness of social media and how it becomes a catalyst to change. And we all witnessed that in 2016, that without social media, Gambia would not have achieved what we had achieved in 2016. We move on to another story that came from the Standard newspaper. The other story from the Standard newspaper is to deal with the case of the 3 tons of cocaine that were confiscated in the Gambia at the port of Banjul. And I'll read from the Standard newspaper, but I left a footnote on that Standard newspaper to ask. I said, please read the post below from the Standard newspaper. The entire infrastructure of the traffic of 3 tons of cocaine is under the name of Bantaketa. How can the Justice Minister justify keeping Sirif Njai continuously under custody? Sirif Njai is the only person being arrested. And the reason they arrested Sirif Njai is because Sirif works for a cargo company, or he runs a cargo trading company, or whatever it is. This is the reason why he was arrested. So far, I have not seen any evidence. The government have not, the police have not, the drug enforcement agencies have not presented any evidence or reports that Sirif Njai have been complicit in any other thing. No part of the drug infrastructure have been found his name or he's been active on. That's the only reason he was arrested, and he's been arrested since the case broke. It's coming to almost a year now. Why keep this poor gentleman under custody? When he was first called into the courts, he cannot even afford a lawyer. I remember the first case, he couldn't even afford a lawyer. And I don't think there's enough evidence to convict this gentleman. Until the investigation, which have enough time to investigate, find the evidence necessary to bring the gentleman in, to justice I think this gentleman should be free and to continue to enjoy his freedom. And if we are quiet, this gentleman will be used as a scapegoat. Banta Keita, yes, Banta Keita, whether it's his full name or whatever right name, yes, it's a person in existence. Yes, Banta Keita was living in the Gambia, and Banta Keita have a lawyer in the Gambia, Sirif Tambedu. Sirif Tambedu is Banta Keita's lawyer. Sirif Tambedu was the person doing the convenience, be it any property Banta Keita was transacting. Sirif Tambedu was the person dealing with it. Then Banta Keita is a person known to this government. And Banta Keita is known to the president himself. Personally, they have met several times. What their relationship is yet to be revealed. And I hope and expect a competent government will do a proper investigation and to get the bottom of this crime. But once Barrow is in power, the poor chap will be used as a scapegoat. And this is what is happening. And I'm going to read from the Standard newspaper, what have they reported, and for Gambians to decide for themselves if Sirif Njai should be under custody now, and to see if Gambia government have done anything in fact to pursue and to identify Banta or to find Banta wherever he is and to be brought to justice. I don't think they have done that. And how comes Banta, apart from Sirif, no other person have been arrested for this amount of drugs being imported in the country? I think that the investigations are not done thoroughly, and I believe that they are compromised. It continued to say, I said this. The young man's name was just mentioned on the handling of the cargo. Did their investigation produce any other evidence that incriminated him in committing the crime? No, we have not seen that. If it is available, bring it out. If Sirif Njai is a cargo handler, he might not know about the concealment of cocaine inside the container. If Sirif Njai is a cargo handler, might not know. And many times, I will send things to the Gambia, or we all do. Do we declare everything in there? No. We put it as personal effects or whatever it is. There might be money in it. There might be computers in it. There might be other things in it. There might be things that we are going to sell on. What we declare as personal effects. Now, the person handling that cargo did not know. He goes by what we declare on that manifesto. And it goes and lands into the Gambia, and the person handling the ground handlers will handle it at the same. The person responsible for that should be the person whose name is on the invoice itself, who paid for this or who arranged for this thing, and that's Banta. But let's look at what the Standard have reported. And the High Court in Banjul, presided over by Justice Ibrahim Jaite, has issued an arrest warrant for Banta Keita and has remanded his co-accused Sirif Njai at Mile 2. Now, they said that they issued an arrest warrant for Banta, and we all learned that the government has said that they have informed Interpol and they also arrest warrant for this thing. Is this a duplication or not? Or was it a lie when the government came out to say that they've informed Interpol there's an arrest warrant for Banta? We don't know. But now we have it from the justice that there's an arrest warrant for Banta. But issuing an arrest warrant is one thing. What efforts would the government do to pursue this case? That's where it is. That's where the compromise would be. Now Sirif Njai is under custody. Sirif Njai has been under custody. Now it's been produced. And again, how legal was this custody that Sirif Njai was under? I will look at it, because Sirif Njai was under custody since he was arrested under the whether he was produced in court, was he remanded by the court? I don't know. But these are things that we expect our journalists to go through and let the Gambian people know. The order for warrant was made on Wednesday, August 18, following an application made by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice to the court, which also remanded Banta Keita, co-accused Sirif Njai, in prison. Yes, the Justice Minister did that. Decided to go to the High Court in order to keep this gentleman under the things and to put an arrest warrant for Banta. Right. Banta Keita, also known as Lansana Keita, co-accused of Sirif Njai, is at large, and both are charged with 2 counts of conspiracy to commit drug trafficking and aggravated drug trafficking, which Banta Keita is also charged with 7 counts of money laundering. This bit we need to listen to properly. The gentleman is only charged for conspiracy, 1 count of conspiracy. You know, conspiracy is those charges that are easy to be proven. But still now, we have not seen the evidence. Apart from that, he was the person there to receive the drug or whatever. Did he know? What additional evidence did the investigators went through to find out whether there is proof that this gentleman knew about this drug? Because of, according to the press release, the gentleman have not admitted in taking part in anything illegal. That's what I understand. Now, but additionally, Banta is being charged with extra charges for money laundering, but not Sirif. You see, if Sirif was charged extra charges for money laundering, that means that there's evidence pointing to Sirif taking part in another conspiracy with Banta. But no, they have not charged this gentleman with any additional charges, because they must have gone through his accounts to see whether money have gone through from Banta or any other source, money that cannot be that cannot be proven to come from legal sources. They would have identified properties that exchange hands within a short period or within a reasonable period that could not be explained. They could have found documents or other things in his custody that could have said that the gentleman took part or is in conspiracy with Banta in money laundering. That did not happen. I hope this gentleman have a lawyer. If not, he will not receive the justice required. The big people, the mighty criminals in that country and around the cartel would sacrifice this gentleman, and Banta would not face justice. And we all know that Banta have a lawyer in the Gambia, and Sirif Tambedo, and we have not had the proceedings what Sirif have mentioned when he first appeared in court. That's another important point we need to note. When Sirif appeared in court, what did he present on behalf of Banta? It continued to say that the case file alleged that Banta Keita on or above the 6th of January 2016 at Fajara, Kanifing Municipal, engaged in an illicit transaction by converting the sum of 24,000 euros by purchasing a land at Fajara waterfront, knowing or having reason to believe that the said money was a proceed of crime. Thank you. The investigators have done right there by going for the money. Now, count 1, conspiracy. Count 1 on money laundering. Pardon me. That's count 1 on money laundering. $24,000 in Gambia, probably cash, trying to buy a land. And now you know why land is so expensive in certain parts of the Gambia, all over the Gambia, but especially certain parts of the Gambia. The gentleman invested $24,000 to buy land in Fajara, big fund. 2, Banta was also alleged to have, on the 7th of January 2016, this is all in January 2016, at EcoBank Gambia Limited, concealed an illicit origin of the sum of $7,108,206.27 bututs by converting the said money into EcoBank account, knowing or having reason to believe that the said money was proceed of crime. Again, $6 million, which is a quite sum of money, have been traced in January that this Banta Keita have involved in the transaction. I don't know what they mean by converting into account, whether deposited into account or converted, transfer from another account or whatever it is, but another count of financial malpractice or money laundering. These are all evidences that will help to prove that the guy owns this he took part in this crime. But we have not had Sirif Njai yet. Nothing, absolutely. It continued to say, he was also alleged between 2016 to 2019 at Fajara. 2016, remember? Barrow came into power 2016. And most of these people, look at their family, the background. The background, 2016. This thing happened in 2016, I continue. He was also alleged between 2016 to 2019 at Fajara that he concealed the illicit origin of the sum of $20,000 US by converting the said money by purchasing a white speedboat, Mark Dora I Beaver CC, with a 250 horse speed engine, knowing or having reason to believe that the said money was proceed of a crime. Thank you. Do you know why he needed that speedboat? How since he purchased this speedboat, this must be a very powerful speedboat to cost that much, and the horsepower. He's not doing for leisure. This is how they bring in the drugs. This is how they take out the drugs. They will bring the drugs in the Gambia. That's tons of drugs, and now they will use the speedboats to go in sea to meet some vessels on going to Arab countries, on going to Europe or America, and put it in there. Or some of it might come from South America, and others they pick it up, save it in the Gambia, and Gambia will be like a hub. Or they might go to the islands within the drop-off points, because they have drop-off points. There are a lot of small islands, uninhabited islands at the mouth of River Gambia, or the around Guinea-Bissau. They go out there to pick up these drugs and bring it back in the Gambia for safekeeping. Now, anybody who would be involved in this must be a big hitter. This guy must have bought into the system politically, would be in these things, and in the security, he would have a penetration. No wonder he was not arrested. Banta was in the Gambia when the drugs was discovered. How come he was not entrapped? Banta reports having that he was at the port authorities when the drugs was discovered. Why he was not arrested? There's allegations of certain people working at the president's office who came to the ports asking for the case not to proceed, and the drug enforcement agency told them that it was out of their hands, because of the international law enforcement agencies are aware of the presence of this narco in the country. Now they let Banta Keita to leave town. Banta Keita would not have let that the drugs be received by any other person without him being in control of it. This is why I keep on holding on to this, about this 3 tons of cocaine. And I hope a competent government will come and investigate this. We have to go deep down this in order to stop the trafficking in the country. No, now a local, a young man have been arrested and in custody. And none of these big people involved in these transactions have been arrested. They are talking about this money laundering. Did they investigate the money laundering properly? Who facilitated money laundering? We have money laundering laws which should be used in order to do that, to investigate how the transactions were done. I continue. Now we have an infrastructure. I was asking for this infrastructure, a speedboat. He bought the speedboat around 2016, 2019. They don't even know what date. How much rounds did he do and other things? Now, how comes with all this, nobody else can be arrested, but a poor chap working at the ports doing, receiving goods have been arrested for this. We'll look at it again. Banta Keita is alleged to have, on the 3rd of April 2019 in Banjul, concealed an illicit origin of $2 million by converting the said money by purchasing a Range Rover, knowing or having reason to believe that the said money was proceeds of crime. He used another $2 million to purchase a Range Rover. You see, now, you know, we all know now the Banta obviously is the tycoon. But where is Sirif Njai? Nothing. If they had found money in Sirif Njai's account or his house or anything else, they would have charged him. The poor chap need to be, but you see, this is what I'm saying. I don't know who Sirif Njai is, but we will not. I can bet that he's not from a prominent family. By now, you have seen certain people jump on to campaign for his release. And this is the advantage we're talking about. We should not be selective. We should not be selective. The first time the chap went to courts, he could not even afford a lawyer. He could not even afford a lawyer. Let's continue. He said he also, that's Banta, I keep on saying Banka, sorry, Banta. He also alleged between 2020 to 2021 at Fajara and Divers Place concealed the illicit origin of the sum of $21,350 by converting the said money by purchasing industrial salt. Conveyed in 3 containers, knowing or having reason to believe that the said money was proceeds of a crime. Industrial salt. Why purchase that amount of industrial salt? Is it to use it to conceal the white powder, or is it to use to pound it and mix it with the sodium, what is it, to put it in the white powder? Because of the grade of cocaine coming to the Gambia, it's raw. It's 100% pure cocaine. You can dilute it. People that know about drugs will tell you. We had evidence about that. That you can take a kilo of cocaine from the Gambia and cut it into 2, and half of that you can mix it with another half, and you still have a high rating on it. What was he doing with this salt again? That's it. Now, the arrest warrant issued by the High Court would ginger the Interpol to swing into action and arrest Banta. No. Depends how much the government of the Gambia does, how much did they pursue this for Interpol to act? How much did they collaborate? How much evidence did they produce for Interpol to work with? What follow-ups did they do? No. This is the reason we're talking about you go to mile 2, you only find victims that would be stealing goats and chicken, and victims that would be selling jamba and others. But we have not heard of drug traffickers being arrested. We have not had people high corruption in government arrested, taken to prisons. We have not even the biggest criminals not arrested. Remember the 12 million or how many million from Joshua? We have not had anything from it. It's dead. Remember the High Court judge, something bad, that the armed robbers went into the house when he have a PIU guards. That case is dead, not heard of. Remember how many armed robberies did we hear? We have not had anything. How can we trust this security? How can we trust this government? The high corruption we had from this government, the evidence are out there. When the police have even recommended prosecution for the fertilizer case, nothing have been done about that. Recently, a few weeks ago, another consignment of fertilizer intercepted and a minister was named. Where you wouldn't go to mile 2 and find none of this, people in there. But it's always the poor Gambians. Now this Sirif Njai, I don't know who he is, I don't know his family or anything, but I can bet that he's from a disadvantaged family because he cannot even afford a lawyer, and they're going to use him as a scapegoat. According to the investigation so far, they have not produced. If the investigation have found any evidence, they would have put it on the charge sheet. Now, if a gentleman was working, doing freight handling or whatever, I don't even know what capacity he was at the ports. And his name, he went to, or processing it, and he was arrested. Where is the additional evidence? If the gentleman stand up and say, and that's what he said, he has nothing to do with this. Why can't we believe him? Then we have to prove it. Beyond reasonable doubt he did it. If not, we are, that's not justice. Additionally, if he was involved in drug trafficking, evidence will be available. Just as the evidence is available on Banta. But the money laundering, did the banks do the right thing? People selling the properties, did they follow the due process? There are laws, money laundering laws. Did they follow those laws? We want to see those things investigated as well. This is the problem we have. This is the problem we have, and I think the Gambia, the media in the Gambia is not doing justice to these things. Still now we have not seen a proper investigation. They keep on reporting things given to them by the state or any other party, just to report whatever they receive. They don't investigate to help Gambians understand more. And our politicians too are literally quiet. They are not asking the right questions. Parliament not doing the right same thing. Be with the soul of Jammeh, the assets confiscated from Jammeh, or the criminal actions happening in the country. Now, this will bring us for the other side of the program. Conversation with the opposition. Lesson learned from the Zambia experience, the elections in Zambia. It's always good to learn lessons avoid learning lessons from your own mistakes. Because any mistake you see here have been committed many times. And it's always good to compare. We don't mean that when you compare, you are going to take exactly from what happened there to transplant it. But you find out that, our problems are not unique. Our problems are not unique. We can always find solutions from other areas. And that's what I want us to do. That's what I want us to do today. To take an exercise to look briefly to the Zambian elections and to see how Gambia can benefit from this. That's why the conversation is with the opposition. As I make it categorically clear, I am opposed Barrow's government for many reasons which I cannot even list. I don't think it should continue. But Gambians should make sure they elect the people they believe in. They elect this next government to be the right government. How do they do that? It's by informing them. They needed to be informed. That's why when we look at this practical steps taken by the opposition in Zambia, we can learn a lesson. And the lessons from Zambia is in many folds. But I just want to touch on few. Kenneth Kaunda, the founding fathers of Zambia, fought for the Zambian independence. Not only Zambian independence, Southern African countries' independence, because we understand their problems were collective, and some of the countries later found independence and separated. It's a long history, but he was part of that. But he continued as the president of Zambia, using the resources of Zambia and the leaderships of Zambia, in fact, to help the liberation struggle to fight apartheid government in Zimbabwe, Namibia, and all the countries, in fact, and against South Africa. He did that. And he overstayed. He stayed for a long time. It was a one-party state. He changed into multi-party when the environment or situation dictated. He was challenged. Zambia, one of the first countries challenged in Africa to depose an incumbent. That's why when I hear Gambia, or just a few months ago, with all the facts available, we have landed people, educated people coming on media, selling the idea that oh, Barrow is the incumbent, he was not going to lose. With all the facts available, that's the dishonesty that we do practice. Put it on facts. Incumbent do win, but in most cases now they lose. Why do they win? Why do they lose? It's up to the Gambian people to take from that. But it was not right to tell lies. And Zambia did that. Chiluba, an economist. Chiluba won the elections because of the main reason why he won the elections was the hope he presented to Zambians, a hope that he can revive that economy. That's hope. And he was younger, he was from the educated class, and he came out with that hope. But guess what? He was worse. Within the first 2 years, £10 million was chased and found to be safe in the United Kingdom here. 10 million within 2 years. Kaunda was not because of corruption. Kaunda because of he over-concentrated his efforts in helping other African countries. He over-concentrated, and obviously the economy failed and he could not deliver. But that was a lesson. They had other presidents, but this chairman, again, changing the president does not mean that you transform the country. That's why it's always right. It's good to change. If it didn't work, change it. But it's much effective to try to measure and have it right and change for the right person. That's why we need to educate the people to change for the right person. That's why we need to hear the policies. We need to see the people around the leaders. That's why it's important. They did this change, and finally they come onto this position again. The last election 3 weeks ago, the president, the incumbent, one term, and the opposition, they had almost 20 opposition parties. Gambia, 20. I know Gambia will not end up having 20 anyway. But 20 so far, almost, candidates. And this gentleman have run for almost 5 times. He's been losing. What changed? What changed for him? Again, it's not that the incumbent did not try. Everything that an incumbent does, the incumbent have. But still now, the incumbent lost decisively. Over 1 million votes. The incumbent used tribal politics. He did use tribal politics to divide the people. Because of the incumbent did not have not created, when elections come in, an effective opposition should make it to be about, are you people better off? And give hope to the people that you'll be better off, and assurance that you'll be better off under our leadership. The referendum should be, the election should be about, are you people better off? Because of the president knew that he cannot put that argument out there that they are better off. Unemployment, especially youths. Inflation. The country cannot even pay the external debt because of, again, just as Gambia and others, taking all these debts from China, mainly, and other European countries, but mainly from China, building roads, building bridges, trying to build power stations that were not economically viable, and anything else. Nothing done properly. Corruption. Everything failed. The amount of money, they could not even pay their external debt. Inflation just went shooting up. Standard of living, people cannot afford. Chinese nationals and other nationals coming in to take the economy away from the people. To the extent of, you see Chinese citizens selling chicken, poultry in the markets. In the markets, they have what Wolof call ngununganar. Those huts that Chinese people doing that. There was a riot The citizens had to riot because of everything was taken off by the Chinese. You know, it failed, just as we are failing now. Someone even said that he inaugurated 2 airports before elections. But he used the tribal politics to divide the people. He did not want the issues to be about his performance, the performance of the economy and others. Job creation, welfare of the people. No. The economy failed. Again, the candidatures. They have so many candidates. And I think that's a lesson we can learn. So many candidates. And so many good candidates for that matter. So many good candidates. But the reality of the elections was against 2 people. And rest of the candidates scored 1%. Rest of the candidates scored 1% of the vote. I think we will touch on this later. I think we should touch on this later. Gambia, we should learn that. So many good candidates, but they only scored 1%. The 2 parties were the contenders. But the opposition main party won by 1 million votes. That is a good thing. But again, we will touch on this. What about, would that guarantee change? They are hopeful. The opposition leader that won is saying all the right things now. Would he do the right things? That will depend if you hold accountable. Now, if the vote collapse for the opposition now, what should be the opposition now? Would he be held accountable? That's why I think we should think carefully how we go into these elections. If a single party win overwhelmingly and collapse the vote for every other party, the consequences would be the parliamentary, consequences would be permanent local government, and the consequences would be what? Complacency. They'll be so complacent and reckless, just as what happened to the PPP. And when that happened, lack of opposition that is vibrant, and vibrant opposition, democracy loses. Democracy will be undermined, and democracy will fail. That we should learn from this. The candidature. The candidate become a better candidate. The opposition candidate become the better candidate. The main party became the better candidate. Because of what? Policies. Because of what? The presentation. Because of what? The campaign. He did not fall for the agitation on tribal lines. What you will find out, and that was the reason the sitting president, the incumbent, cried out foul. Because in his own home states, areas that his tribes are predominant, he lost. He could not believe it. Because he was complacent, thinking that he does not need that much campaign within his own backyard. He has to just go and play divisive politics within the other tribes to hate each other and let the elections be about the majority and the minority tribes. And let me divide them. The opposition leader knew better and went to his own heartland and send the messages and send the right messengers. The message is important, but the person who delivers the message to is very important. When you have youth issues, send the people that should be seen as the youth leaders to speak to the youths. When you have women issues, send the people who can be seen as women leaders to send the message. If you have economic issues to deal with, get the people who can articulate the economy, people that can be trusted with an economy. If you talk about security, get the people. But not in the Gambia. Everything will revolve around our party leader. Do I blame the party leader? No, I blame the political parties. I blame the leadership within political parties because most of them don't want to pull their weight. If I am going to be part of anything, I'll pull my weight. If I am not allowed to pull my weight, what am I doing there? if I'm not an opportunist? Why do we expect the party leaders should have the answers? When the party leader's responsibility is not to do everything, but it's to delegate. Who is he delegating to? We want to see the people being delegated to. We want to hear from the people delegated to. We want to see the people that will deliver the health service. We want to see the people who are going to deliver the health service. Not just to tell us the health service is not right. We know that the health service is not right. You see, these are some of the issues that the opposition did right in Zambia. Go and carry out your research. Go and carry out your research. He's been failing, and he realized that failure, and he came with a different campaign strategy. The incumbent used the security forces. Interesting. Few days before elections, few days before elections, the army was out. We're in tanks, patrolling to intimidate the voters. You see, when the security does that, it's a psychological warfare. It's to intimidate the voters, to believe that the incumbent is powerful, is going to stay. Win or loss, is going to stay. That's a lie. If people come out and vote overwhelmingly, the security will be on the check. Especially any security force that's not professional, as they are opportunists, they don't want to fall. They want to hedge their bets. They will only commit these crimes if they are assured that the president is going to stay. If the citizens come out and vote, the security would check themselves. Just as what we saw at the during the impasse. They know that they are losing. The president has, the dictator have lost. They brought out the army with tanks. The chief of the army made message, insinuating messages, but that did not stop the voice of the people. They went out there and they voted. The incumbent tried that, it failed. Come to youths. We all know this is the fact. And that's why the power of the incumbent is no more, in fact, there's more of a disadvantage with the incumbent in Africa now than power of the incumbent. I'll give you the reasons why. The youths. The youths. If you look at the elections everywhere in Africa now, because of Africa is a youthful population, and in almost every African country, you have the majority of the population are youths, about 65%. That's the average. About probably 60% average. 60% average. Some countries is 75% of the population are youths. And youths, they have needs. They have hopes. They have the energy. They have a long future to look at. The retired people, or likely retired, are thinking about how to finish up the years expected to live. But the youths are looking at their future. And if they form that majority, why not engage them effectively? Why not engage them effectively? And if you engage the youths effectively, you see that the problem you have about tribal thinking and sentiments mainly is in the older generation. If you engage the youths on policy, on their interests, the youths will likely to listen than the older generation. It's a matter of fact. It's a matter of fact throughout Africa. There's a demographic that will always put their vote according to tribe or religion. That's a matter of fact. But they overwhelmingly can take decisions based on their interests. The opposition or the party that articulate that interest, the youths, the jobs, they are more affected in finding jobs, their lifestyle, and social media. And I always laugh when Gambians come, oh, the reality on social media is not the same as what's on the ground. I don't know what comparison they're doing or what they're looking at. What do they get to see what's on social media, what's not on the ground? because of, you must be looking at somewhere else. You might be looking at something different. And look at this. How youths are affected with social media. What social media did was to take out this monopoly the state has over information. If you look at Jawara time, when Yahya Jammeh came in 1994, the entire archives of the GRTS have to be thrown away. Because every music has Jawara's name in it. You think, what does that do to the minds? Repetitive, repetitive, repetitive. The only thing that was available was Radio Gambia. And people have to listen to this. And the overwhelming voters listen to radio. The overwhelming voters listen to radio. The messaging and everything, it was about the state and the state, the ministers, or minister be them not tukina, them not defili, minister be them not defili, whether nobody to scrutinize that news, nobody to agitate anything. That have gone. Social media say. And the youths are seeing things that are happening in other countries. They are learning from other countries. They are seeing transformation in other African countries. They want to see the same thing on them. Now, what you do is think about that these people would be easier to engage, to vote against the government, because of the government have not delivered for them. Now, that's an advantage for the opposition. That's an advantage for the opposition, and that was the advantage for the opposition in Zambia, and the main opposition benefited. Because of they represented what the youths wanted to hear. They gave them hope. They used social media. Social media. And they did ads and did different things that targeted the youths. And this was how they got the youths on board. But another point. The opposition leader engage the unions. Opposition leader engage the sectors, every sector. It's only the Gambia we don't hear the opposition talk to the teachers union, the medical union, the workers union, the transport union. The transport union is about to go on a strike. They have so much of problems. The government is ignoring them. Do they have an alternative to listen to them? No. Do we know how many members do they have? How many members are in the transport union? Do you know how many people depend on these people? You think if you win these people over, if you win over the transport union, if you win over the frontline workers, we have the COVID here, we have the frontline, still now the frontline workers are suffering. Do we hear anybody speak to them or engage them? The teachers are suffering. Do we hear our opposition engage them? Our political rallies are fine. But we have to engage people to, and address their concerns. That's another area, the Zambian opposition leader. Win over the votes. Decisively. You see, if you're going against an incumbent, you have to win decisively and knock him out. If you don't win decisively, that incumbent would try to resist. That's where we have a problem. That's where we have a problem. He sounded the alarm, but the minute he knew that the victory was very decisive, he kept quiet. We move on from there, social media, the campaign in development. You see, it's easy to say that I will develop the country. It's easy to go around just to say that we develop the country is not developed. It's easy to say those things. But how do you convince the people? You see, that's why when you do your campaign, the opposition does your campaign. Barrow is going round, laying foundation stone, saying he's doing development, but it's not affecting, impacting on the people. People of Basse are not better off because of the roads. People of Basse are not better off because of the market. Yes, they are important. But because of some of the things are not done right, they are not in order, they are not done by priority, there's nothing like a strategic development plan. They don't think about the markets, they don't think about other things. The people are still suffering. This is where we expect the opposition to go down on the ground and speak to people. On health delivery systems, which opposition party is going to invite the women, groups that are suffering, and others. There are many ways, and tell them exactly what you're going to do different. Give them your commitment. You see, when you do that, when you give commitment, people believe you. You give them hope, and that would make them to come out and vote. And if you convince a mother, that mother will go back and convince others. That mother, especially the person that committed themselves to be part of an association. If a person decides to subscribe to an association and you go to the association and they invited them and they attended the meeting, those people are committed people about their concerns. If you address their concerns, they will go home. And they might change their allegiances to political parties or to the government. That's what campaign strategy should be. The issues. Not just to go around and accuse Adama Barrow. Not just to go around to say that things are not working. People know that. Nobody believes that Adama Barrow is a good person. Only people who want to benefit from what he's dissing about. Because even those people know that he's not the right person. But what are you going to do? What development are you going to bring? Who is talking to the rice farmers to sell them your program? What's the point of sitting on a radio program or these things and talk about what you're going to do about rice farming? Yeah, how many people are rice farmers? How many people will listen? Those people, yeah, the rice development is important in their life. But we have to understand human beings. Human beings listen according to priorities. Someone in Bakau might be more concerned about tourism than rice farming. Because for him, that's where he's going to be employed. Or that's where he's going to benefit from the microeconomic possibilities from that tourism. That's where the money comes from. Now, if you go to Bakau, you don't tell them about rice development. Even though rice development but that's a long narrative. It's a long narrative to tell them how it benefits them, that the price is going to come down. Tell that to the rice developers. Yes, and overview, you can talk about that we're going to improve this. But target your message. Target your message. And if you do that, then the tribe thing will not come up. Then we will drown the tribe issue. No, but because then the president don't have a choice but to come on board to talk about issues. And he has no issues to talk about because he has 5 years. That's why I said the incumbent is this disadvantage. Talk about 5 years. He had the opportunity for 5 years and he has failed. Now you are the one telling them, look, don't give him another chance. Corruption. Campaign, development. Tell them why development is not happening in the country. Tell them about the corruption. Tell them about corruption at the port. How did that affect them? Tell them the corruption in GRA. How did that affect them? Show them the evidence. We all know people that benefited from corruption. We know who they were 5 years ago and who they are today. Look at the people around President Barrow now. Dusano and others, they all look different. It's not because of their salary, it's because of the things they have access on. These are the issues we need to deal with. And it's less expensive. We don't need so many vehicles running around. In every region, in every constituency, there should be capable people that can send the message. The party leader doesn't have to be crisscrossing every day around the country. These are lessons that we should learn from Zambia. Talking about the development, explain the development, how it's going to benefit. And against, give them hope. You have to illustrate this. They have to see it. And the people, I mean, you know, political parties have to be very careful. We always use, how to call it? I don't know what name to call it. Look, we use the party militants to do everything. What are the technocrats in our parties doing? What are they doing? Why are they not in the campaign trail? Why are they not in the regions and doing what they should do? These are the people who should go out there and convince them. Not just to castigate the president and the policing. No, say it as it is. Give them hope about this thing. Tell them the education. How many politicians are engaging the students in the colleges? You see, where are we engaging the students? We don't expect to talk to ourselves, I mean, or within ourselves. We need to speak to people outside there that the president wants to fool. Let them come out and vote for us. Why are we not engaging them? If I call a political rally, and my party is TTT or GBC, now I call a political rally, the only people coming are the people who subscribe to my political party. But if as a party, if my party is GDDT, and I decided to send someone to meet sectors, be the students' union, be the medical, be the farmers, be the women in their narcos, they will congregate. These are people that are not in my party, or some might be. Some might be sympathizers. Some might be supporting other parties. Some might even want to support the government because they have not been rich. Now, I can engage them. And engage them on issues. Let them go back home. You might not know the impact that day, but the impact might be taking this with them, going home and dealing with the problems, and they will remember the person that came and spoke to them at the NAPO. That person that came to talk to their CAFO. That person that came to speak to the at the campus. I'm not sure whether they allow in the campus or wherever you can invite them. The person that spoke to us at the union headquarters, wherever they can be reached, wherever the law allows them to take part in politics. Their issues are politics, are about governance. Look at the issues raised by the transport union. The disadvantage, the maltreatment, the problems they have in the in getting out. This is about our backbone of our economy. Agriculture, re-export trade used to be the biggest money earners for our government. Then tourism. But we have lost all this because of our counterparts are not letting us. They are not abiding by the ECOWAS protocols for the free movement of people and goods. And now our drivers are telling us, they are telling us, we are not helping. We witness even our corporate, boss company, GSTS, had to fight in order to be allowed the mutual benefit they should have in driving to Senegal and coming back. But where is the opposition? These are the things we should learn from. And the end results. Guys, we should be very careful about the end results. What was the end results? The main opposition won by million. Now, remember I said the incumbent, they have been taking out the incumbent in Zambia. Things did not improve. When Kaunda was taken out by Chaluba. Chaluba was an economist. They have hope. He was corrupt. He did not deliver. Now, the government they had never found the economic model. One model they have was corruption and borrowing money. And letting the so-called investors, the Chinese mainly. You see, be the Chinese, be the IMF, be the World Bank. We're not saying you don't deal with them. But remember, they have an interest. They want to keep you as a consumer. Especially the Chinese. What you do to represent your interests. What you do to... No, okay, let them just come in. These things are things, not only the Chinese, the Indians. Someone today said to me, you do Gambia boy, they can be Indian. What do you think? Why India is giving us loans? Do you know what we normally sign for? When we sign these loans? On mutual interest, on double taxation or those nonsense, that benefits them. What do we produce? We don't produce anything. We have our raw materials and give it to them. And we sign on not taxing them on those or putting barriers on those. These are our raw materials. Instead of signing that no unfinished materials should leave the country. At least a process of adding value from this country, no. Even the sand is not sifted in the country. The bulk of the sand is taken away. Because if you do that, even if you refine it here, it will create jobs. No, they want the jobs to be created in India, in China, in other places. Now, do we have the opposition spokespeople going to talk to people in Sanyang? Telling them what the damage to their environment and what's not returned to them? Do we have people, from the opposition going to Sanyang telling them the Ababakar Jawara, what he's giving you, he's not giving you nothing. He's giving you pennies from the money that you should earn. Do we have the opposition spokesperson going to Sanyang telling them how much the community of Sanyang should benefit from the extraction of minerals and the way the environments will be maintained in order to make sure that land is put back to use? You think the people in Combo South hate themselves to support a government that is doing this thing to them? But if they don't have an alternative, they don't hear from the alternative, they don't have given hope, what do you expect them to do? They will be divided. Then it would be easier to get them to vote according to tribal line, according to the Saku Malo, back of rights and other things. Nobody hate themselves. Nobody hate themselves. Then this politics of Sakumala would not work. Politics of tribe would not work. Because of what they are aware. That this party, if they come into government, this is what they promise. Why did they believe in the promise? Because the person that deliver that message is someone can be believing. And that person that delivered the message have delivered a clear message. That made them see the realities. Explain the damage done to them as a society, how the impact of that environment and what it does to the water table and everything else, and the proceeds that we don't even know how much is gained from that. There's no point going to debates and talk about these things when the people that should hear this are not hearing them. And don't be very surprised. Most of the people listening to this debate, we all hear debate like I'll tell you, you'll be surprised, most of them will not want to stand 2 hours in a queue to vote. But I'll tell you, the local people in those villages would be the ones staying 3 to 4 hours to vote. But the sad thing is, most of them will vote, not that they believe in that their life is going to change. They believe it, but they don't have any tangible reasons or reasoning to do that. That's where the competition should be. If not, the end results would not be what it is. What I wanted to say here is, it's good that opposition won in Zambia. But if that the president himself, his party, continue to win that way in parliamentary and local government, democracy lost. We have to understand this. Even though if we support political parties, we expect and we should expect to have vibrant opposition. It's good for our political parties to do the right thing. If the opposition is not vibrant, what happens? The government fails. If the government fails, what happens? Destabilization happens. Because that means that the people, dissolute people, are not represented. And if people are not represented, what happens? They take the laws into their own hands. That's why you see uncontrolled riots and other things. Or if something happens, you see passive citizens or criminals jumping on and other citizens become passive. Democracy, that's the importance of democracy, to have a vibrant opposition. Yes, to bring about change, the incumbent have to lose. Then the incumbent lose, we need to continue to have a vibrant opposition. Now the main opposition can be government, but we need an opposition. In the case of Zambia, rest of the parties have 1% of the vote. Now, if that is replicated, I'm not saying that directly that's what happened, but likely to happen. Yes, parliamentary elections and local government even are different, just as they're different with presidential. But here, there's an advantage. When you win and you honeymoon period or whatever it is, it might give you support, and that support base that voted for you might end up voting for your parliamentary candidate. That's why we should have to think about this. When we think about how we're going through these elections, we should think it truly. How do we go to the presidency? And after the presidency, we are going to have a parliamentary. How do we prepare to go to the parliamentary? After parliamentary, we are going to have the local government elections. How do we go to the local government elections? All these sectors are important. Now, if you think about how you're going into the presidency, we already have how many candidates? I'm expecting 3 more candidates. I am saying people that will declare themselves. I am expecting 3 more candidates. Are they all going to run or going for nomination? I don't know. I am talking about genuine people. I'm talking about genuine people. We might have 20 political parties, but we know about 6 or 7 or 8 have already decided. We own that they are not political parties. GBDC and all those, we know they are not parties. I'm talking about genuine. We might end up having 15. We might end up having 10. We might end up having 5. But what constitutes these 5? How are we going to elections? Are we going to elections 2-way or are we going to elections 3-way? Because the Gambian reality with incumbency, this is an advantage our opposition have in the Gambia, different from Zambia. You see, that's why I said you can take look at another country, but some of these things might be different. In Zambia, the guy is an incumbent of 5 years. He came from a political party structure. In the Gambia, we have someone trying to build a political party. He can't. No structure, no capacity, and the only resource they have is finance. And that finance becomes toxic. Some of you that follow their inside discussions, you all heard the toxicity of the party. Within themselves, they are recording each other. Within themselves, they are insulting each other. Within themselves, they are negotiating different things. They negotiated with the APRC. It's not likely to work out. Now they're trying to compromise with Ahmadba. I hope those people that listen to Ahmadba have listened properly and seen the reinvented Ahmadba. And if they understand politics and the reinvention of Ahmadba and the caveat that Ahmadba have put in there, that's why the NPP themselves, I'm not talking about the so-called people supporting NPP, and NPP themselves have listened to that message. They're not very convinced because of now the fortunes of APRC is not likely. Now they try to reinvent. This is the same reason Barrow came out to say that he doesn't have the powers. Why did he keep it this late? We all know. We said it here. I said it here. It's the Gambian people that can give amnesties. It's Gambian people that can allow these things to happen. The president can't. Why did he say it? Now he's kind of saying that, look, he doesn't want to lose everything. Now he doesn't want to lose the victims and other people that have a problem of the APRC. If he was assured that he's going to have the APRC as a party, he doesn't care. He would have promised anything. He said it. He promised anything in elections. Yeah. And when you have it, do what you want. He said that. That's not difficult. But the realities we have seen, I've said this from the beginning, the guy is not capable of building a party. And we have seen that proof. Then his incumbency, it's not an incumbency per se. He doesn't have the capacity. Where are the people around him? We have seen different groups coming and going, coming and going. Does that change his fortunes? No. Again, the reality of incumbency is the problem that you have to prove that the people are better off from when you take it. You cannot. And that's why this narrative of saying that the peace and stability of that country, he's the one who guaranteed, we have debunked that. That's not true. It's the Gambian people that fought for that freedoms, and it's the Gambian people that are protecting that freedoms. Not you. You are in the state house, been in your garrison. What have you ever done? Apart from poking the national security, posing a threat to the national security. That's what the president has been doing with his pronouncement, with his divisive politics. They tried to sell him as a humble person. It failed. He came with the mountains of fabrications. He came out with mountain of fabrications. Because out of desperation, he can't help himself. He has to fabricate, incriminate himself. That humbleness cannot be seen. Beating his chest, taking credit for everything that have ever happened. When he knew that people knew everything was televised. It's not a long history. These are recent developments that we had recorded on social media. That person is not a strong incumbent. It's not been proven. The alliances is trying to build, it can't gel in. Even if it happens, it's not going to gel in. He cannot put fear in the lives of people. That's another thing that African incumbents used to do. The fear factor. Zambia failed. They put the army out, nobody's scared. Barrow is scared, is more afraid than... Barrow is afraid of the army than any citizens would do. He's more afraid. Why did he still have the Senegalese around him? And there are other issues we are not going to talk about. There are national security issues. But we know why, and we know what's happened in the State House. How fearful Barrow is. Then we have no fear here. That fear is gone. Then what strong is in this incumbent? He has failed us. I wrote the other day, tell me one project, concept to delivery by Barrow, and it's a successful project. The bridges and roads built by the Chinese in Basse was started when Yahya Jammeh reconciled with the Chinese government again and throughout Taiwan. Because these projects were one of the motivators. That's why Yahya Jammeh dumped the Taiwanese. Because he had milked the Taiwanese to the extent the Taiwanese cannot give him anymore what they used to give him in that way. Now he turned to the Chinese, and the Chinese promised this belt and roads. We all know this is a common strategy for Chinese wherever they go. Every African country, the Chinese they have built a conference center. They have built roads and bridges. That's what they do, and they take the better part of your economy. And if you allow them, they take the ports. If you allow them, they take the airports. If you allow them, they take your media. That's what they do. And they took your local sector. That's what they do. Just as they have signed the fisheries license with fish meal factories with Yahya Jammeh. Then, if those roads and bridges have been attained, it's not because of his sheer efforts. Yes, we give the government a credit that they follow it through, but I mean, what impact did it have? That's what we should debate. The other roads we all know were started even. Not only the design and the concept or whatever, they were started before 2016. Some of the Lamin Pasama Road and others were started before 2015. Now, I'm talking about the projects, Banjul project. I'm talking about the Hakalang Road. I'm talking about the so-called foundations. Everything is based on corruption. The amount being charged for those roads are just ridiculous. And the work is not going to be the quality expected. How can we have a problem of debating this gentleman and get him out and tell you, show the people the light? Then he is not a strong incumbent. Why is it this important? Now, if the opposition wants, if the opposition is strategic, they can make the issue to be a two-run race within the opposition. And Barrow will be knocked out. Barrow will be knocked out. That depends if the opposition is strategic. The amount of corruption, the amount of scandals within that, the lack of capacity, the amount of opportunists in that party, they will disintegrate. They will disintegrate. Then what will we end up having? If we are strategic, that's why I'm telling Gambians, let us not go after each other as opposition. Let's hold opposition accountable with context. With context. It does not make sense. With context. Because if we don't do that, if we're not strategic within the bulk of the opposition, I'll tell you we'll be two-way race. Will be UDP and NPP. I'll tell you that. And if the opposition win UDP overwhelmingly, it's not good for our country. It's not good for our country. And it's not even good for the NPP. It's not even good for the UDP. What I said is it will bring complacency, just as Jawara did, because of this, the majority he carried. But if we are strategic in the opposition, we all realize that the government have failed. That's why we are in opposition. If we have believed that the government did not fail, we'll be with the government. Now the government is fighting to get people to join them. Then if any political party refuses to join the government, then that political party disagree with the government. Yes, that political party refuses to join us. That political party have a difference with us. But what is the difference? Can we debate the difference? Can we debate the difference? That's what opposition is. Debate your difference of improving the people's life and others. Debate the difference. But one thing we are sure and guaranteed, the incumbent have failed. And if we let the incumbent stay, we have a national security crisis. Because of the corruption and everything going on, it will continue. And the incumbent will believe that he is right. The incumbent will believe that he is right, and he will do more bad things. But you know, if we bring about change, what would bring is the Gambian mindset would believe in change. We done it with the dictator. But this time around, even one time, any opposition that win the election would know that, look, if I don't deliver, incumbency is not a guarantee here. The incumbency guarantee is to deliver. If not, I'll be one time. That's one credit that we'll gain. The other thing is the opposition parties. We have a lot of good candidates in most of the parties. Now, would be a waste. Would be a waste. Because the reality is, once you go to close elections, even people in some of these small parties will be looking at, if I vote A, B will win. If I vote B, A would win. Now, A and B, what they should do, what they will be doing is to convince, they will be fighting among each other, making us believe that they are better than B or B is better than A. Who is losing out? Our democracy loses out. Now, all these small parties will be struggling, and their voters will be running. Everything they've done for the past 5 years, the grassroots and everything they've done would be useless. In a sense, some of them might retire from politics from there on. I'll tell you. Because it will be humiliating. It will not be sustainable, and this party will die out. And they should not die out. Because some of these parties are new. They need to be built on. They need to go on. They need to go on to parliament. They need to go on to local government. That's why I said when we think of approaching these elections, we think of the parliamentary, think of the local government. Because we need to have a vibrant opposition. And the best strategy would be get Adama Barrow out of the equation and we run it out. How would that happen? It happened in many ways. The opposition parties can look at themselves. What do I have in common with who? They can start to engage themselves and find a way and mechanism to build coalitions. Opposition parties, especially the new or the smaller opposition party, you call them small or new, they should think of what do they have in common. What is their mutual interest? How do we come together to build blocks? What kind of strategies, alliances we can build? And they can factor this for the presidency, factor this on how we run the parliamentary, factor this how we run the local government. Because of they are growing, they need to grow. Hey, we have to be realistic. We have to be realistic. Even if we come out in the open and say that we're going to win the elections, back in our senses, we know what we can pull off and not. We know that. We know where our strengths and weaknesses are. How do we use our strength to strengthen, as an advantage? How can we use our weakness and to make sure it does not harm us? These are important things to do. They being in opposition, different opposition party, it's not an enemy game. It's just a rivalry. It's just a rivalry we should have and should be healthy. But one thing I will tell you, and I hope that's not going to happen, we will start to see small parties attacking each other. And you have the big parties concentrating on doing what they do. Our democracy suffers. Our democracy suffers. Change will happen. So a party will win this December. And as it is, it's not likely to be Adama Barrow. Who should be is still open. A month is a long time in politics. A month is a long time in politics. Do we know how to do these things? Yes, we do. What we have to do is to swallow that ego. Especially the people within political parties, to think about it. If everybody said that, yeah, I'll go to coalition, but my party leader would be the leader. If you start a negotiation like that, they will not go anywhere. Everybody will say the same thing. Why not start the confidence building? Negotiations start with confidence building. Go on to things that you have in common. Start to discuss about that thing. Go on policies. Go to other things that you can talk about. And finally, find a mechanism that you all agree on. Then whoever comes out of that mechanism would be the winner of the flag bearer. And Gambia would be better off. And I'll tell you, if the opposition managed to have two camps and go after Barrow camp will collapse and you'll have two opposition camps. And Gambia will be better off with this. Whoever wins, they would win with not an absolute majority. They will win with a comfortable margin, but the parliamentary would energize that opposition. That's why I said during the process, think about parliamentary, think about this thing. And the parliamentary will have a better parliamentary representative. Now the quality of MPs would be different. The substance would be important, the discourse. The representations would be diverse. And Gambia would be better off. If we are to learn anything from the Zambia lessons, this should be the lessons. The lessons to remember. Change has been happening in Zambia, but the transformation have never happened. From Kaunda to now. I think this is the fourth president. but when it is competitive. You see, if I had time, we can even go to tell you why certain things are not changing in America, because it's between the conservative and the conservative and the Democrats, the liberals, and who controls them? The multinationals. The multinationals control them, not the electorate. The multinational determine the party that's going to be in government. Yes, the conventions and everything you hear, the internal democracy you see in the Democrats, in this thing, everything, end of the day, you have to satisfy a candidate. Why do you think Bernie Sanders did not win the Democratic primaries? Because of the multinationals would not have supported him. Did not support him. They went for the safer hand for them. And in the United Kingdom, it's just better because of what? The Liberal Democrats have a foot in certain areas in the local government. There are so many marginal seats. That's why we have a possibility of hung parliament. Because we have so many marginal seats that can change hands. Yes, the Liberal Democrats will not be winning the elections, but they will be forming government, and they have formed government. And if they lose even to form government, they have control over local government. And this do what? Because of their input, their liberal policies, what it does is influence the policy in the mainstream political parties. That's how the green issues been discussed in the Labour government, and the Labour Party and the Conservative. That's the better thing. Look at Germany. Why do you think Germany is that? Because of it's technically always a government of coalition of political parties. Every small party is relevant, and every political party, small political party, have a core values that will come in. Might be migration, might be about green issues, might be about other issues. Because of the part of forming government, it will happen. Then our democracy should be what benefits here. And every political party should be working on to benefit the democracy, because that would ensure the development. That what you aspire for, that will happen. And that democracy should be delivered by us. That's why I was so mad when people say, why the incumbent, why the incumbent? If incumbent win any elections, that's the failure of the opposition, not the strength of the incumbent. Right now, in incumbents in Africa, unless you deliver, that's what you have the burden to prove that delivery. Be it the social influences have changed. The youths form the majority. Social media is the medium. And other factors are there. Now it's up to us to do that change. Thank you very much, guys, and have a good afternoon. Thank you.